What will become of planet Earth and its inhabitants after being judged by the Celestial? Well, let's hop into the pages of A.X.E Judgement Day, issue number 5, the penultimate issue, and find out together, shall we? So then, picking up from where the last issue left off, things were pretty much as bad as they could ever possibly be. The Celestial God had judged Earth and its people failures, and because of that had set about the work of destroying everyone and everything on the planet. Though here's the thing, the Celestial works a lot slower than you might think. Yes, it turns people to dust, but only in small groups at a time. Captain America had just narrowly managed to survive one of these purges at the end of the previous issue, and understandably he isn't exactly feeling so good about himself. Steve, always with the weight of the world on his shoulders, ends up blaming himself for everything that went wrong, saying if he had just fought a little bit harder or had been a little bit more creative, maybe he could have staved off Judgment Day. A very interesting and actually surprisingly heartwarming little scene though. Steve is actually hyped back up and given a sympathetic ear in the form of one of those regular everyday people we've been following since the series began. This is the same lady who had lost her child and because of that had gotten really angry at mutants for their ability to cheat death. She actually says that she knows in her heart of hearts that Captain America really did do everything he could, even though she herself has been cynical for a really long time and never believed that mankind would be able to make itself worthy enough to survive Judgment. But all the same though, if this truly is the end of days, she decides that she's going to sit with Captain America so he doesn't have to be alone. Oh, but of course this is a comic book story and it's always the darkest before the dawn. Nightcrawler ends up showing up to Captain America and decides to take him to the Arctic Circle for one last audience with the Celestial. Moreover than that, Kirk says that all the mutant psychics have managed to connect all the minds of everyone on Earth, meaning the world is quite literally watching Steve as he faces down a mad god. Captain America gives another one of his classic impassioned speeches trying to rally what's left of humanity, saying that he never gave up on D-Day, he never gave up in the face of some of the worst supervillains ever, and he sure as hell isn't gonna give up now. And for all of his trouble, Steve and Kirk end up getting totally glassed by the Celestial God. Oops. Only, here's the thing though, having Captain America get killed in front of everyone on Earth was kind of part of the Mutant and the Eternals' big last-ditch plan. You see, while everyone else purged by the Celestial really does actually end up dead, if you're a mutant or if you're an Eternal, there are still systems in place to keep you from dying. Again, isn't that the beautiful part about immortality? It just doesn't mean living forever, it also means staving off your final judgment for as long as you like. Sadly though, this won't last forever. If one of the 5 end up dying, the mutants won't be able to resurrect anymore, and eventually is going to unmake the machine that is Earth, meaning that the Eternals are going to lose their own resurrection protocols. Meaning they have precious little time to come up with one last plan, and their last plan is, well, basically just a variation on their first plan, and that is try and blow up God. They didn't do it last time because they feared all the human casualties that would come about because of exploding the progenitor. But now people are a lot easier and more motivated to evacuate than they ever were before. Especially now because the death of Captain America has everyone else in the world no longer eating themselves in a mass panic, and everyone is starting to act a lot more selflessly, thank God. Speaking of God, there's actually a really fun little undercurrent in this story of so many different mutants like Nightcrawler himself not believing in this progenitor god, saying that it's a false idol, and that they only believe in the spark, and how really creating a new mutant faith was just exactly what Kurt had in mind to get them through tough times like this one they're in right now. Also, I think that it's very fun that right here during Judgment Day, when it seems like all hope is lost, the mutants have actually returned to the X-Mansion, if only to try and avoid the gaze of the Celestial. In fact, distracting the Celestial God is actually a big part of their plan. You see, the Avengers, the Eternals, the X-Men, and pretty much everyone else who's still alive to fight in the world's greatest hero community are going to go and attack the Celestial head-on in one last massive battle. They're going to throw absolutely everything they have at this thing, including Thor smacking it with his hammer in a fun bit of God versus God combat. But it's all actually one giant smokescreen, so a smaller team of heroes can actually infiltrate the Celestial without it getting wise and destroying it from the inside out. Picking the members of this team is actually quite crucial. The plan is also helped out a lot by the fact that because Droog and Uranus were defeated at the end of the previous issue, it means that with a little help from the mutant psychics, the friendly Eternals like Icarus and Circe will no longer be mentally compelled to protect protect the celestial god as part of their commandments. Still though, even with all of these things going on, even if the plan goes off completely perfectly, they still might not be able to do it with the people they have still alive. Thankfully, the 5 are still in play, so they can start resurrecting people with the few eggs they have left. They float the idea that maybe they should bring Cyclops back first, but it's Nightcrawler of all people who says that if they're going to defeat the Celestial, they're all going to have to think outside the box and do something they've never done before. They're going to have to push mutant resurrection further than they've ever pushed it before by not resurrecting a mutant at all, instead resurrecting Captain America. Yep, that's right, Steve Rogers is the first human brought back to life by the 5 as the comic comes to a close. And so that was Judgment Day issue number 5, and I gotta say, it was a pretty damn epic penultimate issue to this big event storyline. But more than anything, what I really liked about it is that it wasn't afraid to slow things down and have more quiet, more personal, more human moments, while also giving us big, bombastic, over-the-top, end-of-the-world fight scenes. I mentioned it before, but it bears repeating. Judgment Day, I think, is probably one of the most topical Marvel event stories I've read in a very long time, and yes, that is depressing because we all feel like it is the end of the world the last couple years. We really do feel like we're running out of tomorrows, and we really do wonder how much time we have left, and to see that explored through the lens of superheroes is pretty damn cool. Yes, they're literally fighting a giant space robot, but that space robot is really just an allegory for all the problems on Earth we just can't seem to fix. But the Celestial is also a character in and of itself too, and in the internal monologue for the thing, we discover that it really doesn't take much joy in what it's doing. It thinks that by judging Earth, it's just kind of taken out the trash, giving us an end to all of our suffering. It genuinely thinks we would be better off if we were all dead. Hell, even the machine that is Earth, which is also much more of a character in the Karen Gillan era of Eternals, is actively fighting to save mankind despite the fact that it's been wronged by man more than anything. And then of course you got the big Captain America reveal. Say what you want about Judgment Day, but with that one small page reveal here, you definitely know that this series is going to end up being super important for X-Men moving forward. Overall, I think I'd give this one an 8.5 out of 10. I think this might actually be my favorite issue of the event so far, and I hope they can keep this sort of manic energy going into the big finale.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cave Jewel, and if you're seeing me right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, which I am very appreciative of. It really helps drive engagement and retention and all that other good YouTube stuff. So does liking and commenting. Wink wink. If you like my content too, you should check out my Patreon page. We just redid all the tiers, so there's a ton of great rewards. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month, and well, it would just really help me out. It's never expected, but always appreciated. So until next time everyone, I've been Cape Joel, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.